Hello. Hi, everybody. And we are live again on a Monday morning. So thank you. No, it's Monday afternoon. I always get that wrong. Thank you. Today I've got a very special guest, Karl, who I'm going to introduce you all in a minute. So I'm dead excited. You don't have to listen to just me today, which is an added bonus for you all. As usual, if you are watching in from my Facebook group, please do click the StreamYard link in there so that we know who is saying hello. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please do give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for lots of tips and hints on social media. So yes, so today I've got a very special guest. This is Karl. So Karl is a business growth coach, and he's going to be sharing some top tips for selling on social media, because that's what he does. He helps businesses to grow and sell stuff, which is always useful for us. So he's going to be sharing our top tips. So again, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat. And we can answer them live for you today. Again, if you're watching after the event, please do type any questions in the comments as well, because we can get back to you then as well. So I'm going to hand you over to Karl, who's going to share his wisdom with us all today.
Thanks, Bex. Good morning. Good morning, Bex. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and good morning to those who've joined the live stream, as it were. Yes, here we are on a pretty. It's a bit rainy today, but that doesn't matter because we're all indoors and we're all comfortable. Karl Morris, as I say, been out there for nearly 2 decades working with businesses, and if I always think about what is it I do, I work with business owners and senior managers who are looking to grow their business, and are probably experiencing a few headaches around time. A few headaches around I'm not getting the money out of this business I thought I would, and perhaps are ready to strangle some of the people they work with, potentially, which of course I would never advocate. And that's what it is. Look, I'm not going to talk about the past. We know what's gone on in the past. What we're talking about today is what can we do from a social media point of view to get out to people, find potential prospects that we can hopefully turn into customers. And what I always like to get people to think about is the audience and the message, and those are quite important things when we're talking to anyone through the medium of social media. Most people out there are potentially a suspect, which means we suspect we can do business with them. We don't know we can do business with them, but we can suspect we do business with them. The amount of social media activity has risen. There are a huge amount of statistics, but we know it's nearly touching 50%. We know that whole amount of social media activity has grown dramatically through lockdown, through to where we are now in October. And no doubt later on today, when things are said by the government, is going to grow again, because there's going to be everyone having something to say. And I always go back to the very basics. Do people want to be sold to? Do they want to read a post? Do they want to come to you and feel they're being sold to? And the answer is probably a resounding no. It's probably a resounding no. We probably don't want an email that almost elicits that response because we feel we're being sold to. We feel we're being drawn into something. And if you go back to the 1990s, where we always talked about this call to action, where we had to go out in marketing and get people to make a call to action. Well, that's very much changed. It's very much changed. If we think about what we're putting on social media, and Bex is a great expert at doing all this sort of stuff on social media. And we won't spend any time talking about you and your profile and all that sort of stuff. It's more about the messaging. The first thing I would say to people when you're on social media is think about a couple of things. And I want you to think about, first and foremost, are you approachable? Are you approachable? Do people feel that they can contact you, that they can actually approach you? When you've then put down that you're approachable, have you got through to people that you're professional? And that does come from some of the profile, the photo, what you've written about yourself, all that sort of thing. the posts you've written, the shares that you've made, comments that you might have made. And then finally, and this one's an interesting one, are you low risk? At the moment, do you seem low risk? i.e., if I make a comment on something you've written, am I going to be bombarded with a half a dozen emails telling me about this, that, and the other? Or are you actually just going to be completely low risk to approach?
Well, that's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like LinkedIn, if I get a connection request from someone I don't know that has a message on it, I just think, oh, this person is just going to be bombarding me. This is going to be hard work. So they'd be a high risk then, would they?
They would, yeah, they'd be high risk, and then that would actually turn us off from the communication. That would then distance us from that communication. So when you're thinking about what you're going to put onto social media, think about, am I approachable? Am I coming across as professional? And importantly, have I come across as low risk? Is there, because if we go back to the basics of human nature, and I know these from my days of doing my psychology degree, which I always use a lot in business, which is the what's in it for me factor.
Yeah.
My favorite subject is myself. We're all egotistical monsters, aren't we? So therefore, what's in it for me? The WIIFM factor. So if I'm responding to a post or I'm looking at that, what's in it for me? People love to think that you're making a comment, and perhaps you are what's known as an SME, a subject matter expert. So if you're talking about hairdressing, if you're talking about nuclear physics, if you're talking about social media, if you're talking about whatever, you are a subject matter expert. You're making a comment on something and you're bringing some useful information, because useful information is everything. Knowledge is power. And I'm more likely to follow you and follow your posts if I feel that there's a what's in it for me factor. I'm learning something. So Bex, I do follow you. Why do I follow you? Because I love your posts, because there's always something in it for me. And that's me being completely honest. I read something, I think I've taken something away from that. I know I'm not going to get bombarded by 1,000 emails. I know you're very professional and very approachable. So that's what makes me then want to follow you. And in the same vein, what makes you want to switch off very quickly is when you see that there's someone making some very, very very stern comments there that perhaps are getting a little bit on the edges of, is it political? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the other? But actually, it's high risk. If I dare make a comment, what's going to come flying back at me? And I had a great example of that earlier in the year. I was following someone who remains nameless, clearly, but they were quite a high-ranking, quite popular person who'd made a comment about something in the training and consultancy world. And I'd made a comment that was very bland, a very bland comment saying, really liked your opinion, really thought that was a nice thing that you'd said. Oh my gosh, the vitriolic attack that came was frightening. And I had to completely unfollow, completely strip myself away from the person, which was a real shame, because the comments they made were very straightforward about training and consultancy. And you sort of think, how can you get into something, it got quite political down the bottom. Yeah. And I just quickly ran away.
It's interesting. It's hard, isn't it?
Yes.
People, when you're on social media, it's a bit like face to face. You can read people, can't you? You can read it, but sometimes when you're posting or commenting on social media, it can be quite misinterpreted.
Yeah, we've lost context. What we're trying to create is curiosity. That's what we're trying to create. We're trying to create curiosity. We want people to be curious about who and what you are.
Well, that's a good word. I like that.
Yeah. Listen, I love the word curiosity. It's I always put my child brain back on, which is what made me curious about that. Why do I want to find out more? Things like running polls, running a poll on a post is a great thing to do, especially in something like LinkedIn, because people can join in and they can make comments without fear of something coming back at them. Sharing something from your industry, when I'm working with clients, and I've just done a lovely piece with a client recently that runs a sports program, and what we did was we got them to start sharing industry knowledge from within their sport, and they've had their best ever trading month in September. Why? because suddenly people saw them as subject matter experts, and they widened the field of their knowledge. And it was fantastic because we started linking in health and well-being, mental awareness, physical, all that sort of stuff into what predominantly was just a sports club. But that sports club is now being seen as something bigger, and people are curious about, how do I get more? How do I get more? Join me up to your newsletter. Please sign me up to your next webinar. In fact, can I come down to your club and find out more?
And it's
no risk. Sorry, yes, Bex.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because actually, as a business, we go into, right, I've got to run a business, I've got to sell stuff, so I've got to post my sales stuff on there. But it just gets missed. Whereas that added value that you've just talked about from that sports company really does resonate with what their customers actually want and need. And then you're building up that trust, aren't you? Because then all of a sudden they understand that they're there to help their customers, not just to try and give them the best deal possible, whereby they could maybe go elsewhere.
Yeah. It goes back to know, like, trust, doesn't it? Know, like, trust. It's the old classic triangle. If I know you, if I like you, and I trust you, I feel more likely then to get to know you a little bit more. There's been numerous studies around the statistics of touch points and how many times we have to be seen as a safe person to talk to someone before they make a purchase or consider a purchase. Some of those statistics are amazing. I think it's up to 27 different touch points from not knowing your brand to actually buying through your brand.
Really? 27?
That's a huge amount of touch points. Now, if you haven't got the budget, and you haven't got the manpower or the people power to actually have a driven marketing program like that, then that becomes really difficult for the small business owner. The other thing to really remember about everything to do with social media is where does it fit in within your strategies for getting business? So is it your only strategy, or is it one of 3 or one of 5 or one of 10? And I'm going to give you 2 magic words that you have to write down, please. Please write these down.
Got a pen?
These are the secret Monday words.
Yeah.
Test and measure.
Oh, I thought you said pest then. Test.
Test and measure. Everything you do, test and measure it.
Yeah.
Because then, a bit like the Pavlovian dog concept, we can keep ringing the bell. If it's working, keep doing it. And if it's not working, stop doing it.
And
so
do you know what?
Sorry, yes.
Absolutely. There are so many amazing analytics on social media. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. I mean, I would say Facebook is the king of analytics on social media, but whatever platform you're on, do you know what? There's so much data there, but people don't look at it. They just don't.
And they run the same to get it to work.
Yeah. No, it's
I always look at my posts and think, every week I get my analytics and think, right, which ones worked, which ones didn't work. I look at my newsletter, which ones worked, what's the open rate on that one, which one hasn't worked, was it the video that got them to open it, etc., etc. What time of day was it I sent it, etc., etc. We know from LinkedIn studies now that the whole rush hour concept has moved on. We know that Sunday nights are now really powerful for senior executives reading. We know all of these statistics have moved on. So educate yourself. There's that lovely concept that the limitations of your business success are completely attached to the limitations of your learning. So the more you learn, the more successful you will be. Yeah. So educate yourself around social media. Read it up. Look at it. Look at the LinkedIn feedback. Look at the LinkedIn statistics. Look at Facebook. Look at Instagram. Whichever one it is you find as a platform that works for you. Then test and measure, because that will then allow you to make an objective decision as to where you're going to spend your money or invest your money, because we have to look at marketing as an investment, not an expenditure. If I give you that and I get 2 of them back, then that's a good investment. But if I give you that and I get half of it back, that's not a good investment.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, it's good. So what exactly do you look at when you test? So say if you've written a post, what is it that you look at to say, okay, that worked, that didn't work?
If I took something like LinkedIn, I'd look at number of views, number of interactions, number of shares, comments. So have I driven some comments off the back of that? And then if I have driven some comments off the back of that, where has that conversation gone to?
Yeah.
So that would, to me, be a very good post. And if it hasn't performed very well, then I need to analyze and find out what happened. What was it that didn't grab anyone?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
A lot of it's the language that we use a lot of the time. I've done this last 12 months, I've been spending a lot of time analysing the language that we're using with clients and obviously with my own social media. And I think a lot of us are falling into the trap of going a bit too technical, talking a lot of jargon and using acronyms. And actually some of my posts are the simplest little tip are generally what do the best, just keeping it really simple and not trying to sell my wares all the time. Obviously we've got to sell sometimes because we've got to make a living, but
we're helping people to buy.
That's good. I like that.
We're helping people to buy. Telling is not selling. And we are helping people to make a decision to buy. And we could go into this for hours. If you flick that switch on me now, I'm gonna spend the next hour on this one. But we're helping people to make a comfortable decision that Bex is the right person to come to. I know, like, and trust. I feel comfortable. You're professional, and so on and so forth. It's when we get all sort of technical and we suddenly think, oh, my ego's come into this. I've got to prove that I know this, that, and the other. That's when the problems start. And there's a massive word that comes into all of this, which is be human. Be human.
Yeah.
Right now in this planet, more than ever on this planet, we've got to be human. I came out of a massive corporate background that, in banking and finance, where you were told to almost be not human, you had to be almost robotic. And now I look back and think, wow, how okay, that was 20 years ago, but ye gods, we've just got to be human. The world needs humanity right now. And I'm not going to get all sort of spiritual or anything like that. We just need that. We don't want to see these jargonistic posts telling us to go and do this or telling us to go and do that. Just talk to people. And especially if you're an SME, just go out there and chat to people, start conversations. And I always say to people, Bex, imagine social media is a giant room that you've just arrived at. Would you really get a big loud hailer and go, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm brilliant, I can tell you loads of statistics? You wouldn't, would you? You'd go around and introduce yourself and chat to people and smile at people and say, hi, how you doing? And that was an interesting comment you said. And if you think social media like that, it's the no like trust concept, isn't it? It's like the Ferrero Rocher ambassadors party. You're just going to walk around, say hi to everyone, and still Ferrero Rocher, obviously, as many as you can eat. But well,
if there was Ferrero Rocher at a networking event, I would definitely be there.
You and me both. Other brands are available, but they're just not. Absolutely. I love. Sorry, that's another that's another week's discussion on Ferrero Rocher and the alternatives to Ferrero Rocher. So be human, be approachable, be likable, be professional, and be low risk, and get people's curiosity levels rising all the time, because the minute they then contact you and ask for your help or ask for some further information, then you can start that process of, thank you for reaching out. Allow me to send you this, and what else can I help you with? And then we start to build that prospect towards that customer cycle, because we're building curiosity. We've been given permission to talk to that person.
And also, one I want to add, don't be shy.
Yes.
People are so shy on social media. I think it's getting a bit easier now with using Zoom and video conferencing a bit more, but people are really quite shy about offering their opinions in their feed because they're a bit self-conscious about their knowledge and their skills and expertise. And yet, if you're working in that field, you're bound to know more than most people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, certainly if you look at, everyone's a little bit worried about saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, and there's lots of ramifications around that. But, as I said, be a subject matter expert. If you know photography, or if you know quantum physics, speak about it.
Yeah. Oh, I've got Paul. I've got a few comments in the chat, but Paul has just said he's on Posh sandwiches today, chicken fajitas. So, So Paul, in fact, that reminds me, Paul's always said, Bex, you never taught what sandwiches you're having, because I always tell people to bring the butties to the live stream. So my favourite sandwich actually is a hot roast chicken sandwich. So yeah, Paul, I'm quite jealous about his chicken eaters.
Yeah. I haven't had lunch yet now, so I'm getting really hungry now. So I haven't thought about lunch.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for tuna today.
Well, then a few more comments. So Rebekah Ray, who runs coaching company, she says she hates direct messages selling me stuff when I've only just connected with them.
Yeah.
So that was a big learn for her when she first set out. And someone else has said 100% agree, really puts them off when people immediately send a connection request on LinkedIn and then they send a message through as well, because all of a sudden, oh, I hate those. You connect with people, you accept it, and then they sell. You get a message in your inbox. Top tip: if you get annoyed with people that do that, I did one this morning, just go onto the profile, stay connected with them, but just unfollow them.
Yeah.
And you won't see their stuff that comes in the newsfeed, but we will see them. It won't stop me selling in the chat, but selling them, it won't stop them sending you private messages, but at least you won't see the content. Well, that's been really interesting, Karl. Thank you for that.
So.
It's been really good. And I just think it's just so important in social media. People forget social is about being sociable and showing who you are as a person and building up that trust. I love this. Well, I can't really say it. Wi-Fi me. Yeah.
Yeah, WIIFM, yes. What's in it? What's in it for me? If I'm a potential client, what's in it for me? Why do I want to read your post? Why do I want to talk to you? Why do I even want to connect with you? What's in it for me? And the other important thing about all of this is, if social media is one of your strategies, what other strategies do you have in place? Because again, you've got to test and measure. If I'm sending letters out, flyers, emails, phone calls, knocking on doors, where does it fit into your big picture? And this is the coach in me coming out now. Where does it fit into your big picture of strategies? Yeah, absolutely. Social media should never be standalone. Very important element, but it needs to build into your wider. It's more important than it's ever been. More important than it's ever been.
Yeah. Paul's just said, no one wants to fall foul to something they said in a video, Twitter, Facebook world that later someone brings up 5 years down the line. That's very true. So, yeah.
Those.
Avoid politics, religion.
Yes.
Basically. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, then. So, thinking about what's in it for me then, Karl, I believe for everyone who's sort of watching the video today, you've got a nice offer for everyone. Yeah,
look, I'm part of a global network called Action Coach. We've been around 27 years, and one of our key values is abundance. And what does that mean? Abundance means to give out. And I will always give anyone, but as part of, I'm thankful for being invited here today, and thankful for, some of your followers to come on and make comments. So anyone that's on this stream today, I'm more than comfortable to give you, half an hour or so of my time, have a mini session with you, have a chat with you, see if I can help your business.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So I've put that in the chat and I've just popped it in there. So if you do want a complimentary session with Karl and just a bit of a chat about how to grow your business and some of the sort of things we've talked about today, then give him an email or give him a ring.
Yeah, absolutely. There's support out there. It's tough, but it's hugely opportunistic. Some of my clients are doing the best they've ever done. Why is that? Because opportunities have never been greater. No,
absolutely. Oh, well, thank you, Karl.
No, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And again, if you're watching this after the event, or if you're watching this live, please do make sure you like and subscribe, and ask any questions in the comment even after, if you're not watching it live. Next week, I'm going to be talking about some top tips for Facebook advertising. So again, if you are using Facebook advertising, please do watch next week, where I'm just going to be sharing some simple tips of things you need to think about. So if you're boosting posts, maybe you need to rethink that. So don't do that. And my next workshop next week is Twitter. So I am going to sell, because I'm hoping you all know me today, but I'm going to sell my workshop. I've got 4 places left on my Twitter workshop next week. It's all online. So if you want to help generating leads on Twitter, then please do get in touch. It's only £99 per person, and we do an hour a day over 4 days, and it is pretty good fun as well. So I will put that link in the comments below. Right, well, thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you all next week at 12:30. And thank you so much, Karl. It's been
thank you. Brilliant. I hope you all take away from it.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and enjoy those sandwiches, Paul. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.